Hello there everyone, welcome back to Haas. It's been a while. I've been sick, which has led to me, well, not really uploading. In this video, you're probably going to hear some coughing, some sniffles, some other things that might be a little bit annoying. I'll try and remove as much of it as possible. Apologies in advance. But we're finally back here with Haas, and of course, the 1.10 patch released in the middle of my sick stint. So we will have to explore that, I think, a little bit today too. But mainly that patch brought in 3 big items. The pit traffic has been fixed. Basically, you will not be held up too long in the pits anymore when everyone pits for wet tires, safety cars, things like that. It should be a tad better. And also, we've had some changes to how tires work, which we'll probably take a little bit of a closer look on today, because we did have a look at it with Mercedes. But at the same time, I want to have a look at it with these drivers who don't have the highest of smoothness. Excuse me. And also, usually start a little bit further down the pack. Can we make the tires last? Can we make them work to our advantage? Or has this kind of put our strategy on the back burner in a way that is going to be rather negative? We'll have to see. So today, I think we're going to be looking, as I said, due to that, a little bit closer to the race themselves. We have Qatar, who is notoriously high on tire deg, and also Mike Takumi, who is someone who's really good at digging through the engine, digging through the code, figured out that seems the new tire degradation is mainly based on the heat multipliers. Basically, the harder your tire run, the more degradation. And that has been increased somewhat. I'll have a look at that later, but his numbers do look really likely to be the case. So I might take that up in a different video, but good work from him. And I think we'll be seeing that probably here at Qatar too, because Qatar is a track where we are going to have a lot of degradation. It is rather hot. And it's also the perfect little bit of a testing ground, because the AI usually runs their soft tires here absolutely into the ground. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Sprinter if the AI handles the softs, or if we're going to be seeing softs burning, I guess you could say. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's get back into it. We have a couple of things we need to deal with, which is missing car parts. We need to manufacture the high risk on the underfloor. I think we are manufacturing what we can, so it shouldn't be much of a deal. And it has been a little bit of a while, so again, we are going to reacquaint ourselves with our current situation. And we have one slot open, which we could use to make a chassis. Front wings, it looks like we're up in... Yeah, I think what we're going to do is actually make 2 front wings. And as you can see, because of the way things work here, making 2 front wings for Haas is just painful. It takes a good 10 days here. But let's get that started, or rather, I actually think it might be better to get that chassis started, just to be on the safe side. It'll take 13 days, and we should have time to get the front wings made anyways. But yeah, let's get back into it. We are currently 4th in the championship, 4 points ahead of Mercedes. We are doing better than we anticipated. As you can see here, the board objective is 6th or above. And we're definitely above 6th, and I don't see Alpine catching 100 plus points on us in the next, 6 races? Yeah, the next 6 races. There are 3 sprints here: Sao Paulo, Austin, and Lusail. But even that shouldn't have too much of an effect on the current situation, I dare argue. And next season, we're going to have some upgrades to the car. We're still lacking a little bit in front wing, lacking a little bit in the rear wing. The suspension here has gained a massive boost, particularly on the brake cooling side and airflow. So we're going to be a lot quicker just from that. And the same it can be said for the underfloor. So the research so far looking really good. But let's speed along here. Let's get into the race itself. Underfloor and also side pods have been manufactured. And since I wanted to manufacture those front wings, that's the wrong wing. We might as well just get that underway. So I think that actually is us all caught up on pass, and we are just going to be doing research. And if I'm not misremembering, I think this research might be the one with the safety time. And if it is, that should be the front wings basically caught up. It doesn't look like it is. No, it does not look like it is. Do I have CFD time? I do, and from what I saw there, it's the front wing mainly that needs it. So let's put the CFD time into the front wing. I think it is supposed to go into the front wing. Well, maybe the rear wing, but we'll do that with the final CFD period. And with this, I think we can also start focusing a little bit on the side pods and the chassis. Get those a little bit more researched. So I think we'll do this, which is a little bit all over the place. 3% here on brake cooling, a couple of percentages on dirty air, but particularly the medium and the low speed cornering ability is something that I really personally like to focus on the cornering ability. So let's go with that. One engineer, sounds good. Let's get that started. The other research we did was that actually side pods. It was. So this is our first side pod research. Small boost, so you can see that we are around 60%, 50% for the drag reduction. So I'm thinking we do another one. And we're gonna go just engine cooling, drag reduction, get that up a little bit because that one is falling behind. You can kind of see that here with these numbers. And airflow front isn't super important on your side pod anyways, so I wouldn't focus that, but the engine cooling is massively important, so is the airflow middle. And of course getting drag reduction up for that little bit of extra speed can be very helpful. So we'll just do that. That should be okay. All right, I think that is everything I needed to sort. And with that, we can now get ready for Qatar. Fastest lap, we could go for that one. Usually we fail, but if the situation arises where we can snatch it, we'll definitely go for it. And I'm feeling brave here, so let's gamble on both cars into Q2 and Q3. With that, I'm going to head to Qatar. We're going to get everything set up, and hopefully, it should be a good race weekend for us. Let's see how this goes. We are almost ready for the sprint, but we have a small problem, and that is the fact that I just realized that Magnussen has wrecked his car in probably the last video, I would think. And as such, we're kind of out of ERSs, so we bought a new one for 2.5 million. We kind of have to there, no real choice. And also, he only has one viable gearbox, and I think that might be a little bit too little. So we're going to get him another gearbox as well. It's going to be a little bit more of a risk. But I think it's something that we have to do here, just to be on the safe side, so that we have enough gearboxes to last the basically 7.5 races that we have remaining, plus practices. So since we are taking a penalty here because of the ERS anyways, we might as well just go ahead and take a full penalty so that everything gets sorted right away, rather than having to take another penalty at a later date. That is at least my reasoning behind why we're taking a gearbox and an ERS here. And in terms of Hulkenberg, he should be fine. We're using damaged, well, not really damaged. We're using low durability parts, but they should survive this race weekend. And if they do, he should have more than enough to survive till the end of the year. The main concern is going to be this engine, if that one's going to last. So Merke could potentially end up overtaking us due to that, but we'll see. In terms of tires available here, Magnussen is going to be running medium. Hulkenberg is... I kind of tempted to run him on the hard. But at the same time, I want to see what kind of viable options we have. So the hard can be running aggressive the entire way, provided the heat doesn't get too high. No such thing for Magnussen. And even running aggressive isn't really viable. And if we have a look at the soft now, it is expected to kind of perish. So we're going to put him on the medium for sure. There's just no better way. And for Hulkenberg, we are going to go ahead and just compare running a standard medium versus running a hard. And as you can see here, the pace is kind of the same. So I think we'll just put him too on a standard medium. That way we have two hards to use during the race. And it gives us flexibility. We did quali 9th and 11th, which of course isn't great in terms of qualifying performance, but that just is what it is. We are going to be pushing for the first lap, and then I'll tune the cars down. The first lap is usually the most important, so we'll push for basically most of that, and that should be fine. And then we'll try and settle in, make our way upwards. For Hulkenberg, that's going to be a little bit A little bit challenging, honestly. Same for Magnussen. But there's not really much else we can do here. We're going to have to deal the hand that we were dealt, if that makes sense. But yeah, you can see every other car on the soft tire here. And as I said here, with the increased degradation from thermal, as well as running aggressive and attack, I'm looking forward to seeing how this is gonna, change up this sprint race. If it's gonna change anything, or if everything's gonna be the same as it has been. But we retain positions. We actually gain one for each driver. And we initially have a yellow flag there, probably just someone running wide, De Vries. And Hulkenberg currently has Sargent in front of him. Now, as I said, we were not going to be pushing too aggressively here, so we'll turn down to aggressive now before we get into yellow temps. It is on purpose. And we'll, again, just run fuel down to about 0.4 kgs. And that should be fine. We'll also go ahead, pull down to standard now. We might lose a place or two as a result, but I think it's better now to just kind of settle in and try and use DRS to maintain our position. If we can, that would be great. And try and save tire compared to the AI. That's going to be the play here. And I am curious to see again how these tires are going to behave towards the end of the race. And you can already see here, Hulkenberg getting overtaken by Gasly, who is a ton quicker. But if they're pushing, and they are pushing, look at this, 76%, 73%, and we're just barely into the sprint. There's 15 laps to go. They're gonna melt their tires, and they kind of are, all of them. 1/3 of the sprint distance here now, and they've already used half of the viable tire, because remember, the viable tire is about 70%. They've used half of that. So what I'm expecting to see, unfortunately, Magnussen is falling backwards. Nothing I really can do with that. But what I expect to see now is that we're going to start closing the gaps a little bit more, because we are running more careful. Tsunoda even has to pit here. Are they slowing down now? That is the question. Because if so, we might end up turning up to aggressive. And as you can see here, the degradation is slightly higher than anticipated, even on the mediums. So yeah, it's an interesting scenario. And Sargent here is gonna have to pit too. It's either that or he's gonna puncture. Now for Hulkenberg, I think we can actually go ahead and start doing some more aggressive move. Hulkenberg apparently was involved in a crash.
2 secs. There's been a crash. Now this was at turn 1.
Did the Aston bully its way past? Kind of. Not only did Alonso get by him, but also Russell. But again, we mainly had just to overlook at the numbers. So Perez gonna need to pit here without spin. And he is. This does make for a spicier sprint weekend. That I can say for sure. But they're definitely taking care of their tires now, and even then they are quite quick. Because as you can see, the deg here has gone down tremendously. You can see they pushed them extremely hard in the beginning. Now they're losing about 3% per lap. So I'd say they're nursing, because they're running 15 degrees lower temps than we are on a softer compound. So would we be able to run aggressive now till the end and still keep the tires light? That's going to be the big one. And I think it's a gamble that we kind of have to take here, if we want to try and snatch some points. So that is exactly what we're going to do. And we should be closing down on the cars in front, because we are running, well, high tire deg for one, but also because they are nursing their tires way more than we are. So we'll see here, but I think manually managing your tires is going to become quite important, I guess you could say. Because if you don't, you're just going to burn through them immediately. And we're kind of seeing it here too. We'd be in the danger zone, but as you can see, everyone here, 3 laps to go. We're going to have a ton of punctures. Stroll, Sainz, a lot of these cars ahead of us are in a very, very dangerous positions. And the arresting is actually what's keeping them alive right now. Stroll. The last lap it could become fireworks because of all of these punctures here, and we have more than enough here to go full attack. There we go, puncture for Stroll, what we expected. Should see the same here maybe for Hamilton. Ocon, Gasly, Alonso. Because this is really taking the risk there. And we got slowed down by Stroll so that we didn't get the overtake done. That is that's some bull.
Leclerc is the winner in today's sprint.
But yeah, definitely, I should have been a little bit more aggressive here, I'll be honest. But at the same time, it is a tad surprising that every car here in the top 10 is looking for a puncture. Bottas, Stroll. Let's be honest here, I wouldn't be too surprised if they punctured on this lap here. But yeah, this wasn't a good race for us. I should have been more aggressive with this. We had a little bit more tire to go on, that's what I'm saying. So we should have gone aggressive a few laps earlier. That would have been the correct play. But I'm still getting used to these new tire levels. That's my defense. And we are starting in 17th there for Magnussen. But what I want to have a look at here now is Hulkenberg. What can we actually do with him? He is starting relatively high up in 7th. And I am tempted to go immediately hard. Then onto a aggressive medium, or do we want to just try and do that relaxed soft stint? And is it gonna be hot enough here that this is gonna be viable? That's the question. That is gonna be the question. So, as you can see, it's barely quicker than this. So, it's not super viable. What if we try something even sillier? Let's put it like that. A very short hard stint in the middle there. Into two. They're basically around the same in terms of pace. The main thing here is going to be how easily can we get overtakes done while running like this. We could also try and see how that would affect the mediums. I think that could be funny. And as I say, mediums do add a little bit of time. But can we do a one-stop in Qatar? Not really. Maybe. This is going to require us to lose a bunch of positions in the beginning of the race, though. But it is potentially doable. But I still think this is our best bet, just push as hard as we can in 2 stints. Or better yet, maybe do something like this, where we take advantage of the fact that soft tires are relatively fast. And as you can see here, it works as a hard tire. Curious. Let's say that we want to set up a pretty bog standard strategy here, where we run things on aggressive, something like this. So as you can see, most strategies we can set up are around the same thing. This is what the AI set up for us, which doesn't seem to be a terrible idea. But at the same time, there's limited now to how much pace you can pull out at certain tracks due to running aggressive strategies. I think we're going to run this, because it does give us some opportunities. We could, of course, also switch one of these up with a medium stint, run that one on normal. That would give us a little bit more freedom. If we see deck being higher than anticipated on the Haas, for instance, we can do this. But I think we're just going to do that for Hulkenberg, and potentially for Magnussen too. But Magnussen is starting in 17th, that's the thing. So I'm thinking we do what I wanted to do, which is to run a the first soft stint, just run full attack, try and make up as many places as we can early on. And I want to see just how... This is going to also be an experiment, because I want to see how badly this tire gets burnt. We are going to be fighting Merc, don't get me wrong. But we're not going to be able to fight them here. I don't think we have the smoothness needed to get that done. Coda is also going to be rough with that in mind. So I'm a little bit unsure how I want to play the current situation. I guess it's the best way I can describe this. But yeah, using conserve, using light, it's been viable before this patch, don't get me wrong. It's just going to be way more viable to use now, and it's going to be somewhat a requirement for some strategies. So we'll see if the heat is good enough that we can run a conserve soft. This might be the play here for Magnussen. But for now, this is what we're going to be gambling on. And I want to see how this works out, if we get any decent point scoring finishes, because we're going to be in traffic, and traffic is going to increase heat into tires, which could potentially end up with higher degs. So let's go for this. We'll see if the conserve can work here at Qatar. And if it doesn't, we'll just have to deal with the consequences of that decision.
And it's lights out, and away we go.
Plenty of K1 availability with it.
So Hulkenberg is already fighting a Ferrari on the wrong tire. Ferrari wins out though, which it should. Magnussen has actually, I don't know, did he get the best out of Paris there, or what's going on? But he's making up places. That's huge. But in terms of the tires, you'd expect him to do that, so not too surprising. And with that, I think the race is already kind of settled into the calm era. And you can see Hulkenberg on these hards is a lot slower than the 6 cars, well, 5 cars in front of him. He's in 6th. Not 6 cars, 5 of them. Leclerc flying on that soft stint, and you can see the same kind of Ocon and Sainz, but Verstappen and Hamilton is a little bit further ahead of them again, so kind of a hard thing to decide, if you will. Now for Magnussen, as I said, we are going to be pushing these softs, and if they fall off earlier than anticipated, so be it. We'll run the medium stint a little bit more carefully if we need to. And these can go up to 130 degrees before they severely overheat. So we shall see if we end up getting there or not, because he is running in traffic, he is running attack, and he is doing a good job getting overtakes done, I'll say that. Deck is still looking good, Hulkenberg still looking good, actually looks a little bit lighter than we anticipated. But he has lost a couple of positions because of the hard tire, so that too is kind of what you'd expect. Magnussen, however, is still making good work, but as you can see right now, he is getting to the point where that deg is falling off, and we are at the overheat realm, if you will, or overheat point. So we'll slow him down a little bit here, just to make sure that we don't burn these tires completely. Because if we do that, it'll actually throw a giant wrench into our plans. And we have Paris behind us, so it's not actually a negative thing here to just slow down and maybe get a tow here from the Red Bull for a couple of laps. That wouldn't be a bad thing. So there's nothing inherently negative about slowing down. And the same it can actually be said for Hulkenberg. His deck is lower than anticipated, so for now it's fine. But Magnussen continues doing Magnussen things and spins around this time around. And it takes him an age there, 8 seconds to get back on the track after spinning. He was where Paris was, so how much time did he actually lose? 18 seconds. Magnussen, me boy. Go full attack on this lap, then we'll pit you. There's just no other way around it. I was a little bit too late there with the pit order, but yeah. Magnussen here is definitely definitely not going to be having a good day once again, which is... I'm actually surprised that he spun there, because he had peak confidence. it's just maximum bad luck. Hulkenberg, on the other hand, is still doing well. I think we're starting to see the other cars kind of slow down. Russell there with the softs starting to fall off a little bit. I should probably tune down his fuel though, but we'll deal with that towards the end of the race. Magnussen now has pitted. He is a good 23 seconds behind the rest, but he should be gaining fairly rapidly here, and he's gaining about 8/10 there. Second, 1.2 seconds. So by the time they pit, he should be kind of back in the saddle, and he only has one more pit stop.
I'm sorry about that, guys.
What happened?
Now we're approaching turn 2. Oh, and a fairly substantial crash there. Now their confidence will have taken a hit.
Okay, so Hulkenberg is still on the track. We have major damage to the gearbox, minor damage to chassis and suspension, and a puncture. That gearbox wasn't that high to begin with, 40%. I think it was the same for the ERS, 44% or something like that. So the damage here isn't massive. But that major damage is going to cost him a couple of tenths a lap minimum. We also have minor damage from suspension and chassis. I think we get him to the pits. We put him on a soft tire, and then we'll see how his pace is.
I'm sorry about that, guys.
Right then, we can take a look.
Because
Now,
that
this
is
was at turn 3. It's
that's just
certainly
frustrating. It wouldn't surprise me though if running high attempts now might lead to more accidents, but this is Haas we're talking about. They've always been kind of error prone. But you can see Hulkenberg is losing so much time from where he crashed, turn 2. Needed to make his way around the entire track before he got to the pits. I'm just surprised that he did not wreck the front wing as well, just for good measure. But yeah, we will keep him on the strategy. We'll see if he can catch up to Magnussen. We'll allow him to run for a few laps here, then we'll check his lap times. But currently, it's not looking good. And Piastri has already pitted. That's why we caught up to him. We haven't actually caught up to the back of the field yet, don't get me wrong. And what kind of lap times are you doing, Hulk? 30.7. That is not great. 30.8, still not great. It's 8/10 slower than his teammate, a second slower than his teammate, on arguably a better setting. 6/10 now.
Not a problem there.
Just do the best you can.
And also the confidence is going to be another issue here. Yeah, this is rough. That's the best way I can describe it. This is going to be very, very rough. Give Magnus some deploy here. He should be able to close down to Piastri and hopefully get by him without crashing. But apparently Piastri also pushed harder, because he immediately gained some pace there. I think the player is actually to retire Hulk. He is running decent pace now, don't get me wrong, but he's just so far behind. But I think I guess we're gonna have to gamble on a safety car. I don't see any other option for us. At least Magnussen beat Norris out, so we'll have a little bit of work ahead of us. But for now, we'll allow Magnussen to do what he is doing, and then we'll see once we get to that next pit stop if we can get something to happen. So both cars are doing what will be their final pit stop. Magnussen is in 16th. We'll have to see if he can actually make something happen while running in full conserve. These tires need to get up to 95 degrees, so we'll have to see if he gets there. Hulkenberg, because the fact that the tire wouldn't last till the end, we have put him onto a medium instead.
How's the test?
And we'll just have to try and deal with that. Magnussen now versus Bottas. I would think he would still get the overtake done, or maybe not. I need to give him a little bit of a push. But Bottas here is on extremely old mediums, so if he doesn't get him here, he should get him on the next lap for sure. But Hulk here, 20 seconds behind. Magnussen is a good chunk of points. but so is Russell and Hamilton, but both of them have pitted, so this is gonna be a rough one. But for now, we'll sit back, relax, and we'll see where we're at once we get closer till the end of the race. And Magnus is just struggling a little bit here to put the tires into the temperature window. Again, 96 degrees, 95, 96 here is where they would see the most effect. But unfortunately, we just aren't getting there. So we'll tune them up to light, and that should still be fine. We'll just have to kind of manage them a little bit ourselves. But Hulkenberg here, I probably should just go ahead and retire him, and I think we're going to do that. It's a little bit late in the race to do that at the moment, but the damage is just bad enough that it's better to just take him out of it and save the engine mainly. I should actually check the engine mainly rather than the gearbox and the ERS, which was what I was focused on during the crash. So we'll have a look at that after the race, but right now this looks like it's gonna be a bottle job, is the best way I can put it, where we might lose 4th in the championship purely due to the fact that we've been crashing way too much. For now though, we'll see what Magnus can do. 13 laps to go. Can he climb a little bit higher up on the final scoreboard? So not the best race we've ever had. Magnussen just barely avoids getting lapped. Couldn't catch the Williams in the end. But honestly, we were far off points anyways. The only positive thing that we can take away from this is that the Mercs ended up in 9th and 10th. That is literally it. That is the only positive thing that happened over the course of this race, that the Mercs only got 3 points. Now, we're still going to be behind them in the Constructors because of the results during the sprint, but at the very least, we're still within reaching distance if we can keep things up. So if the Alpines keep this up, though, they're actually going to catch us by the end of this this year. So it's potentially very, very bad. And of course, because of the fact that we failed the qualifying position, the finish position, the fastest lap, the everything, we lost a lot of money too. This is the finish position streak, which honestly is very unlucky because Magnussen would have finished higher up if he didn't have a spin that cost him not only an earlier tire swap, but about 18 seconds. So yeah, it's not a good time. Let's go ahead and have a look at Hulkenberg's car, the powertrain. Okay, so the engine didn't take damage. I think I can say that fairly, not with 100% certainty, but fairly certain. And that is honestly huge that it didn't take damage, because if it had, we'd be in a massive amount of trouble. But even with the damage to the chassis to everything here, we might still be in a bunch of trouble. So yeah, it's still not great. Chassis, side pods, underfloor, suspension all failed, so we're gonna need to make new parts. And I'm not a fan of that. Let's put it like that. I think we're gonna have to rush these parts too. 14 days, 18 days, 11. So we'll have them for Mexico. Okay. We're gonna have to make our way through Coda without incidents. And the odds of that happening are not great. Let's put it like that. Race sim upgrade to level 5. At least that is some good news. And we also manufactured the front wings, which we ironically did not destroy over the course of that race weekend, which is even more hilarious to me. But I think we're caught up on parts now. We do still need another chassis after this one has been manufactured. But after we made this chassis, that should bring us up to snuff again on parts. And the main thing here is going to be financially. We have 5 races to go. We're 25 million. That is an overkill in terms of money. But if we need that new engine for Hulk, that's going to be a little bit problematic. Let's put it like that. Side pods have been manufactured. I'm just going to go ahead and double check here that we have everything that we need. And chassis is being manufactured, we know that. Rear wings are good, side pods are good, underfloor is being made, suspensions are being made. So we're actually good on parts. Alright, sponsoring Gabrielle Mini. Sure. Let's put $200,000 to make you a little bit better. But yeah, finish position streak. I think we're just gonna go with one driver, top 10. And even that is going to be kind of tenuous if we have a few bad races. One drive in Q3, both drivers in Q2. We're going to have to play it a little bit more careful here now. Because, well, we're having some high chances of damage for one. But generally, we are kind of running out of money as well. So I think today we're just going to do Coda. And then I'll be testing a few things out with avoid high-risk curbs. There's been a request for that, basically. Is there anything else that have been updated over the course of this last patch that you'd like me to look into? Just drop a comment. But I feel like this is the Haas experience. Get yourself off to a good season start, and then Demolition Derby, which is very, very unfortunate. But let's jump into Coda, see if we can keep things running for at least a little bit longer. And even if Alpine overtakes us here, it's actually not a bad thing. Board 1 6 or above, we'd still be within the board's wishes, but of course we want to finish as high as we can. But finishing 6th would give us a better car next season because we get more CFD time. So honestly, from a strategic standpoint, 6th is great. But we'll still try our best here. I do need to learn what the new patch entails in terms of the tires, because last patch was pretty much straightforward. Push as hard as you can. End of the story. So Magnussen here with a massive qualifying where he managed to put his car in 5th. Hulkenberg managed to get into Q3 though as well. Both cars. Pretty much a weird, horrible, terrible runs in Q3. As you can see, it was way quicker in Q2 and Q1 for that matter. But we just couldn't get a proper run in here. But 10th isn't too shabby. Magnussen in 5th. We have Russell in 9th. And Hamilton managed to somehow get out in Q1. So this is a massive opportunity for us to get back the points that we have lost to Mercedes. And we do have P2 now. Then we have the race. So we'll switch back to different components. And I am planning to in the future to revisit my pit crew fatigue video, and instead of trying to figure out what has more of an effect on fatigue, I think I'm going to change my approach for that one and just straight up make a list of how much fatigue does it take to switch a full set of components, things like that, and just experiment over a race weekend to try and figure out the base numbers, because I'm pretty sure that switching engine components, switching car parts probably, maybe not engine components, but I think car parts might have a huge effect on your fatigue. And again, I probably should not be saying too much of it here. This is a different thing. But I think that is going to be important to figure out exactly what the numbers are. And I really would like to just get those numbers from a dev, to be fair. I probably should just ask... if I ask Mike, he probably knows. That wouldn't actually surprise me if he has full control over what causes fatigue. But yeah, I'm thinking of doing that probably sometime next week if I have time to sit down. Probably something for next weekend, that would be. But it would give us far better numbers in terms of what causes fatigue and why. Because, as I said right now, it doesn't make too much sense what gives you some. But, yeah. Now, in terms of strategies here, let's see here what we can do. Softs are, once again, not really recommended. Mediums are decent enough. Hards can survive on aggressive. And they're going to be fairly quick, too, so... I think what we do here is go hard for Magnussen. Now for Hulkenberg, he doesn't actually have a hard, and of course being able to use an extra hard during the race would be great. But we're going to have to probably just stick to a medium and kind of run it in... I'm tempted to try something a little bit new here and just run it straight up in conserve. It's a second slower, but the idea here by running it in conserve is that we save more of the tire. And if light is going to be quicker than standard, it's going to be highly dependent on your driver's smoothness, because the higher the smoothness, the less drag, the less time you lose for a lap. But I'm thinking that we're going to try a little bit more aggressive version of what we did in Qatar. So after the first half of the lap, I think we're going to tune Hulkenberg down, but we do need to be aggressive at the beginning. don't want to lose too many positions immediately, but I think this is going to be a little bit of a gamble that is going to be potentially worth it. And for Magnussen, full attack for the first half lap or so, tune him down to aggressive, and see if he can, on the hard tire, outplay the other runners. Let's put it like that.
Things are hotting up here in Texas.
Mediums for most cars though, so let us see what we can do.
And it's lights out.
That's
and
my...
away we
Oh,
go.
that's a great start there for our boy on the hards. And he might actually get Alonso here. And he does. So yeah, massive. Hulkenberg up into 9th on his end. So he too had a decent start here.
Copy that.
But it's getting held up a little bit by the Merc of Russell.
Okay.
And that is going to give
Copy.
Albon here a chance of coming back at us. So yeah. I don't like that though, because it kind of just looks like Albon gave up. But we'll tune him down to standard instead and just run him kind of normally here. But Magnussen, I do want to run him on aggressive and see if he can make something happen here, because that would be amazing. And if we can have Alonso kind of also act as a pulley, that would be helpful. So at the moment, tune down energy usage, and as I said, if Magnussen can stay with Alonso, that would be huge. If he can't, it's going to be a little bit disappointing, but not really much we can do here. Perez 2 gets us. Running aggressive might not have been the correct choice here, we'll see, as even Stroll gets us. The main thing is going to be, the question is going to be, how much tire do these guys have left at the end of the race? Because that is going to be the main decider, if you will, on whether or not we can get these positions back. And even Russell gets us. I feel like they might have... Albon gets us... Oh, I need to see what they're running here, because this is going... They're doing a little bit too easy getting these runs. So they're still running attack. That's 6% on that last lap. Russell is slowing down a little bit, but yeah, Albon is still running attack. They're gonna have to slow down so much in theory that it should be able to we should be able to retake these places now, I would think. But we might need to tune up Magnussen's aggressiveness now due to the fact that he lost confidence. But the fact that they flew by us so easily and we're struggling is a little bit frustrating, but it is also kind of understandable, I guess you could say. But we'll keep on working, see if we can get ourselves back up into point scoring positions. Magnussen there goes up to 8th at least. And if Albon comes back at us now immediately, I'm going to be upset. At least he didn't do it immediately. Hulkenberg is also kind of in the mix. But I want to see now Magnussen chase down Russell, because he should be quicker. As long as he doesn't need to fight too much with Albon. Gained about 6/10 that lap, so yeah, we are catching up. Gonna give Hulkenberg a little bit of deploy here so he too can stay within DRS. And once Magnussen gets himself into DRS, which shouldn't be too long, we're gonna go ahead and kind of save a little bit there too. We are gonna go ahead and harvest slightly before we launch an attack on probably this next lap. And for Hulkenberg too, we're gonna be kind of attacking, getting Albon hopefully on this next lap as well. Oh, never mind. Well, he didn't lose much time, at least this time around. I got a little bit of a scared moment there, I'll be honest. Let's see now how Magnussen does in terms of getting by. Because I think with what is going to be just 3 laps left now, we can go full attack. And they do have a bit more tire left compared to us. And Hulkenberg here did lose a little bit of tire from running wide. But even then, Magnussen here now should have no problem just kind of charging through and trying to chase the rest down here. question is he quick enough to catch Paris and Stroll? And I think the question to that is going to be probably no. We also want to detach Russell if possible. So we're going to deploy again. Because Russell right now is being a bit of a nuisance. And we're going to go aggressive here now for Hulkenberg. And also give him the deploy.
Tyres are quite hot, Kev.
They're just slightly hot, don't worry. Russell is kind of detached, I think. Getting close to it at least, so we're going to push a little bit more, see if we can get within DRS of the two cars in front. And I'm going to give him the high overtake risk here. Oh, honestly, I don't feel that is worth it. Like, getting 7th here is going to be way more valuable than taking chances and ending up further up the grid. It just isn't worth it to go all in here, I feel. Well, we could have started pushing the tires a little bit earlier, so that's on me. But it looks like we might get a little bit of an attack chance. Now we started a little bit too far back. But yeah, we're not too far off here. Potentially could have gotten that back to that 5th position.
The Ferrari takes P1 as the
But
winner
7th
of
and 9th here isn't terrible.
Check your flag.
We gain points on the Mercs. But Hamilton's made his way back up into 12th. So race here on Sunday is going to be fairly interesting in its own right. But it looks like the AI can handle tires for the most part. If they were bad at handling tires at a track before, they will still be bad at handling tires at that track. Basically just Qatar so far. They do pit before they burn the tires completely. They do change up the strategies a little bit more, it feels like. But it could just be me having not played hard in a couple of weeks, and that is why I'm feeling that way. We'll have to see. Sorry if you're hearing a weird noise now. I bumped into the microphone. But yeah, let's see what kind of strategies we can set up for USA proper. And stand strategy here, medium. Let's see if we can improve on these and what they can give us. So, because of the extremely high deg here, I don't think there's any strategy that we can do that involves attack. Look at that. I don't think we really improved much on it to begin with here. Yeah, this one is still quicker. Okay. Let's see what we have available first for Magnussen here. Hard 2 mediums. Okay. Let's start a new strategy. And we want to start on the mediums. It's just what I prefer. And even if we were to run the next 2 stints on attack. Say we run this one aggressive. Sorry, hit my microphone again. It's a new one, so it's a little bit closer to my phase as a result. How would this look? It is quicker, but it is an extra stop. That's the thing. And this is even quicker again. So you kind of see here, it is viable to do something with the sauce again. Question is just, is it better than to completely eliminate that medium stint, start on the hards, run it aggressive, and then go on to 2 more contained substance? And it might be the better strategy, because this kind of guarantees that you're not going to be in traffic. You can run attack for that first lap. You can then go over to the strategy over here. It's not much quicker than the base strategies here, and that is kind of the thing. Because you can't run attack anymore. These base strategies are probably better because I can just switch to, you know, aggressive attack where I see fit. So that is also something to keep in mind. I think what we're going to have to do here is be more proactive in how we handle things. And As I said it, even if we say do attack here with the hard, which is kind of the tire you want to attack with if you can, we can't really set up a soft stint here that makes sense to make it much quicker. It would have to be a conserve stint. And if we can't get those up to temperature, it doesn't really matter anyways. So that does create a bit of an weird dynamic, I guess you could say. So I think the best bet here is just to stick with the standard strategy, which is interesting. But I kind of expected that for Coda and some of the other tracks. So we're going to stick with this strategy. But it does give us opportunities here to do attacks, to do, you know, aggressive moves within the strategy itself. So it isn't necessarily a bad thing, let's put it like that. And as you can see, we can influence a little bit ourselves by just running that medium stint aggressive. So, yeah, 30-23. So we save about 4 seconds by doing that. And we can kind of have a look at it here again. Just run that medium stint aggressive. Sorry, that middle rather than the medium. And that does the job to kind of speed it up. It makes it quicker than, or just as quick as these strategies here with conserve involved. So yeah, I think we're going to do medium, hard medium. It is going to be the best bet. We can use the soft tires for conservation if we need to. And that is going to be, again, just the best option here. So this is what we'll do. Let's see if we can get a good result here with this strategy. But Coda is kind of hard anyways.
Here we go. It's the United States Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Lights out and away we go indeed. So at least we survived the first corner. But we have Verstappen behind us. He's probably going to take 6th here. And that shouldn't be a surprise. Hulkenberg holding on to 9th is also very, very good. And that's kind of going to be the idea here behind this race. We want to try and finish 9th, 10th to 8th, 7th. Magnus actually coming back at Verstappen is kind of wild. In my honest opinion. I think we're going to tune it down to aggressive on the second lap here. And then we'll tune it down to standard a couple of laps after that again. We do have a little bit of tire life here to mess with, don't get me wrong. But I don't feel like it's worth it to full send it this early in the race. And as I said, we do need to keep these tires somewhat alive. So we're going to go ahead and try and do that, manage it a little bit. Magnussen, again, as long as we can stay with Verstappen, we'd probably be happy. But we're starting to see way higher DAGs, so let's tune it down to standard. We'll run it like this till the end of the stint. And that should be us happy. Again, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th is kind of what we can go for now, because we have been nerfed with strategy. And that is actually good, because running full attack was the easiest way to have a good race earlier on. Now we're actually probably going to have to manage a little bit more and think a little bit about what we do strategy wise. So for now, as I said, it's going to probably take me a week or two to get adapted. For the most part, I need to run through a season or two just see how the different tracks behave. But right now, Hulkenberg is doing a good job holding up the rest of the pack. Magnussen is doing the best that he can to kind of try and stay with the pack in front. We could potentially push here a little bit, deploy, to close down to at least DRS distance, which would help us. And I think I'm happy with where the cars are. So we'll try and close Magnussen down to the Mercedes in front. And we will try and keep on kind of fighting here to try and get both cars in the point today. For now, we'll speed along until that first pit stop, which is basically when these medium tires are completely used up. We've had an incident. As you saw there, Verstappen is currently parked in the middle of the road.
So here we go, heading into turn 1. The cars jostling for position, and the contact between the cars, inevitable.
Got a little bit of a knock there, but I assume he'll be back to running once everyone's out of the way, I would think. But yeah, he's kind of parked it a little bit longer than you would think he would be for sure. A little bit of debris there on the track as well. But this it's not great for us because as you can see, Russell and Hamilton, they've both had good stops. They're currently up in 3rd and 4th. We've pitted a little bit earlier than we anticipated, but the tire usage is good. And even then, we're not really keeping up too good to the Mercs here. Magnussen kind of fighting Hamilton. Russell has gotten away. And I am currently deploying in order to try and get away from Hamilton. It's not really working, but it's the only real choice I have here to use all of our energy here to try and create a gap. And as I said, not working too well, but it is increasing a little bit each lap. So it's just a question of who runs out of energy first, I think. And unfortunately for us, I'm pretty sure it's going to be us. But yeah, that is what it is. It looked for a second that like Magnussen ran off the road. I was very, very concerned, in all honesty here. So I think we can go attack now. It should be like 3-4 laps until we pit. So let's go full attack on these hards, use them up completely. And we do have some problems here with confidence, so we might end up adapting strategies in the future where the first stint is basically just a burn stint that we use up as quickly as possible. We pit, and then we hope that the increased confidence from pitting early is going to be enough to kind of make up for the time loss of pitting early. But I don't know. I actually don't know what the best strategy is going to be, and testing things like that is going to be fun, honestly. So we'll deal with that as we go. We are getting closer to our final pit stop here. We're probably going to be pitting Hulkenberg at least on this lap. I think we're going to gamble and allow Magnussen to do another one. He is currently in a DRS train with Russell. So we could either try and jump him in the pits right now, or we could allow him to run one more lap. That's going to be the question. And I think we're going to run one more lap because we have made that decision, kind of. And we're going to tune Hulkenberg down because he shouldn't be too far off the pit lane here, and he isn't. So he's currently doing his final pit stop. He's going to come out ahead of Verstappen, barely. And Verstappen is going to potentially act as a little bit of a pulley there for Hulkenberg, and that would be amazing if he did. But at the same time, a little bit doubtful on that. So Magnussen now pits alongside Alonso and Russell. Let's see who comes out first. We have a tremendous pit stop error. So unfortunately that does throw another wrench into our plans. Let's see what happened.
This was Kevin Magnussen pitting. And they just really struggle. It's not a smooth one.
What exactly was the problem? Car release? I would think. We'll see at the end of the race. But that does put us in a bit more of a compromised position. Gasly needs to pit, Sainz needs to pit, Albon needs to pit, but generally there's not a lot of cars there that is going to be overtakeable for us. Sainz is not, Albon and Gasly are, so potentially up into 8th, but we have Hamilton and Russell up there already. So it's going to be a rough fight. But for now, we'll do the best that we can while we get closer to the end of this race. We're getting very closer till the end of the race, and as you can see, Magnussen is hunting down Russell at the moment, 3 seconds behind. Russell is fighting Sainz, who is on old softs, and a lot of the cars are actually on bad tires, but so are we. So it's looking very, very interesting. Hulkenberg here is going to have a rough time doing much of anything, but even so, we'll just still deploy energy. But the big one here is going to be Magnussen, and if he can catch not only Sainz but also maybe Russell, that would be huge. But it's going to be difficult for him for sure. And Sainz he should catch. That should be a no contest because of the tires. But the question here is going to be how long are we going to be staying behind him? And we should be getting him with DRS right now, and we are. And by deploying what little we have left, can we get within DRS of Russell on the main straight now, or the big straight here? That's going to be a no, unfortunately. Now, if I had been micromanaged this race a little bit better,
Charles Leclerc is today's winner.
we probably could have made something happen. But as you can see here, I didn't manage it well enough. We have run a little bit low here on kind of everything. As you see with Hulkenberg, hopefully he doesn't get a puncture. He still has a couple of corners left. But if I'd managed this probably a little bit better, we could probably gotten Verstappen and Russell with both cars. Well, not both cars, but both cars could have gotten one better position, is what I'm trying to say. So the Mercs do beat us with both Russell and Hamilton having better positional finishes than our teams. But at the same time, this is a welcome reprieve from all of the negative things that have happened recently. I'll say that for free. With this though, Merc does increase their gap to 7 points. But we have now done two of the races now that has been hit with huge kind of negatives, if you will, from basically huge changes to strategy because of the nerf to aggressive and attack due to tire heat. So we'll see what we can do in the other tracks here. Las Vegas is still going to be a little bit weird, but hopefully we can actually make up for these points. We'll see. And as expected, here was the car release that caused that pit stop error. That is 6 seconds, and that would have put Magnussen potentially up into 4th place. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna have to have a look at the results again to see what was actually going on there. But I think that would have put Magnussen up to Toby Brown leveled up. But I think, as I said, historic results, previous race results. 6 seconds. We could potentially have been fighting for 2nd place with that. That's how massive that pit stop error was. What is actually a pit stop crew fatigue at? They're just tired, so... Well, they were basically then over the limit last time around. That's a problem. But yeah, our pit stop crew here needs a little bit of work, so... We are going to do some testing, probably this week, and then I'll have a look at basically what causes pit crew fatigue with some numbers, hopefully next weekend. We shall see. But yeah, I have not coughed as much as I expected, so at least your ears have been saved from that. I am feeling better, so today we have done Haas. I think we're just going to do something very simple tomorrow. Well, it's basically going to be late night by the time this gets uploaded. We're probably going to just do a simple around the grid tomorrow. Something very, very simple. But I just don't have time or energy for that matter. I'm still not 100%. I'm feeling good today. But the thermometer tells me I still have a fever. So tomorrow we'll just do something like around the grid. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But it should also be noted that around the grid is probably going to be harder now too, because of the changes to tires. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Thank you for watching. Please like the video if you haven't. Please subscribe if you haven't, as both of those do help me out a ton. And hopefully I should see you around later. Again, new microphone, early Christmas gift, so I'm still going to be fine-tuning it, which is why I'm probably been sounding a little bit different throughout this video. I'm still trying to find the sweet spot in terms of distance from my face. So yeah, it's I should have sat down and tested a little bit more before. I know. But thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.